We just got done doing a flight review in this pretty little yellow airplane here. Now you may know this airplane somewhat already because this is the Zenith, as it says right here, if you buy it as a kit from the American company, or there's a Canadian company called Zen Air. They're all part of the same family, literal family of businessmen. And what happens with this particular aircraft here is it's produced partially in Canada within the limits of the experimental amateur built category, the 51% category it's called sometimes, and they deliver to M Squared, which is a company in Alabama, an airplane that is not painted and not complete. In fact, quite a bit of work still remaining, but substantially completed. Then M Squared takes over in the United States, and using a professional builder assist, they take this airplane and begin to assemble it into what you see here. So what we got here then is the Zen Air aircraft. Again, the distinction there, Zenith is going to sell you an experimental amateur built kit only that you have to put together all yourself. A very good package of doing so, but this is a little different thing that we've got here. So this is coming from Zen Air, and you assemble this CH-750 Cruzer in conjunction with M Squared, which acts as a professional builder assist facility. So you will go to their facility in Alabama, southern Alabama, on an airport they're located, and you'll assist with the building, but there's a lot they can do for you, and that's all permitted by FAA. It's a very well understood program. In fact, that is being developed further because FAA knows that it's working well, and so in the future there will be even more opportunities like that, but no need to wait. You can do this one here and now. So let me describe the airplane a little bit for you here. First of all, at the very front up here, we've got a 3-blade Duke Elise prop, composite prop, and being spun by a Continental IO-240, not the O-200, but a Continental IO-240, and the I in front of the O means that it's a fuel-injected engine. That's different than the O-200, which is a carbureted engine. This produces 125 horsepower, and combination of that good prop, which is the Flash brand, or Flash model from the Duke Elise brand, a French brand, being spun by this engine really gives this airplane some performance. Right on takeoff out of here, we're at sea level, and it was about a standard atmospheric condition day, but we were seeing 1,000 feet a minute right off the runway. En route climb easily 700-800 feet a minute at a relaxed pace. So it's an energetic aircraft with this engine on it. And the fuel injection can make for some easier engine starts and whatnot. There is a technique to be used there, and you'll see more about that in the in-flight video. Okay, so then from there on back, this is an all-metal airplane. And a lot of riveted structure here, but again, a lot of that is already completed, and you'll join M Squared in building this airplane at their facility, and you'll do things like install the instrument panel. It'll come unpainted, so that'll be a project that will happen later. But again, if you don't feel like you can paint, they can help you with that. So that's good. I'm going to close the door here just a little bit, and you won't be able to see it real well, but this has quite a bit of curvature inside, so there is a lot of room inside. Paul's a big shouldered guy, and he and I fit in there easily, lots of room inside, and you can tell by when I close this window again here, and when you think about this big wraparound windscreen they've got, plus an overhead tinted skylight, plus windows to the back, this has some of the best visibility I've seen in one of these airplanes. Now, if you know the CH-750 STOL aircraft, you know that it has slats on the leading edge of the wing, and this does not. This is the Cruzer model, intended to be a little faster flying airplane, and indeed we comfortably saw all the time 100 miles an hour. And of course you can go a little bit faster than that too, but it'll cruise all day long at 100 miles an hour at a fairly relaxed RPM. Because this is a Continental engine, the numbers are like you're used to on Continental Lycoming, where the cruise speeds are, the cruise RPM is 2400 to 2700, like that. And at 2450 RPM, the burn rate was only about 4.5 gallons an hour. So it's almost competitive with the Rotax engine in the low fuel burn that it's got, even though it's got that extra bit of 25 horsepower over the standard Rotax engines or the O200 engine from Continental. So in flying the airplane now, let's say a little more about the landing gear. Some aluminum slab landing gear, steerable nose wheel, Ground steering was very good on it, quite responsive. The main gear is very stout, feels real solid. This is an experimental amateur build, so it can't be used in a training environment, but you can be trained in it. And for that, I think it would go quite well for you. So let's talk a little bit about flight controls. This has a Y stick in the center, literally a Y stick like this. Each person can have a hand on the stick, again suggesting it's good for training. That's good. And throttles on both outside positions, so you've got a throttle that each occupant can reach easily. Full dual control in the sense of rudder pedals on both sides, brakes on both sides, and so you can fly this aircraft easily from either seat. I'm going to open the door here. You can see inside the aircraft a little bit. Nice comfortable seats inside. They are adjustable. They move back and forth over a range of a few inches. I didn't get the exact number, but it will accommodate a lot of different people. And as I said, it's very roomy inside, lots of headroom. Tall guys, pretty big guys are going to fit in there very well. And the entry is about as easy as it gets. Turn around, sit down, pull your legs inside. None of that's a particular struggle. So even if you're a little less flexible than your fellow pilots, you shouldn't have any trouble getting in and out of the airplane, and you'll be comfortable when you're in there. And again, I have to stress, the visibility was just wonderful inside this aircraft. So now we went up and flying it. Paul gave me the controls very quickly. We know each other a long time, but he also knows this airplane is going to be pretty easy to operate. So we went ahead and flew it. And takeoff technique, full power. And as soon as the airspeed starts to light up, it's got the Garmin G3X touch screen in it, which is a marvelous piece of equipment, got all kinds of stuff on it. And it's got what's called a airspeed tape in it, not a round dial, although you can show round dials if you really got to have them. But the tape sort of comes alive and numbers pop up on the screen once you get going a little bit of speed. And as soon as you see some speed, it's Paul's technique to come back on the yoke, on the joystick a little bit, and then just kind of hold it there. And the airplane, basically, it's what's sometimes called an attitude takeoff. You just set an angle of attack by using the stick, and off you climb into the air. Now, this airplane has got a full flying stabilator in the back, and the elevator authority is quite good, as is the roll control. You may be able to see in the camera's view here that the aileron is basically what's often called a flapperon, in that it is a full surface that goes all the way across here. But those ailerons or flapperons are highly effective, and as far as I can tell, using the flaps doesn't seem to affect the roll control on it at all. My experience in rolling the airplane is that it will roll quite vigorously. I did a 45 to a 45. You can see on the in-flight video that we've got. And I measured that, casually measured it at a couple of seconds. It was pretty fast. And in fact, I didn't even warn Paul that I was going to do it quite that much. And I startled him a little bit because it responds that quickly. But it's not twitchy. When you get it over to do it fast like that, it still has a nice solid feel to it. It's another thing that makes me feel this airplane is appropriate for a pilot with less experience. The rudder pedals took a little more pressure, so the harmony is not absolutely perfect. It's certainly very good, but it's not absolutely perfect. The rudder pedals take a little more pressure than the stick takes for equivalent action, but coordinating them was very easy. In fact, you can do most of the flying with either control without using the other. Now, of course, you should use coordinated use of the controls, but I did both. Moving the stick hard to the left, moving it hard to the right without any rudder pedals. There was a little bit of adverse yaw, but only recognized by a slight delay, maybe 2 seconds before it started to go the way you wanted it to go. It did not deviate and go the other way. That's a nice quality. That quality is called adverse yaw, and sometimes it'll actually cock the airplane quite a few degrees the wrong way before it comes around. This didn't exhibit that. We also did some turns with just the rudder pedals. And again, there's a moment's delay, and then the airplane, you can feel the rudder kick to the side a little bit, and then the bank follows along. So you could actually fly the airplane by either control quite well. Stall on the airplane was very slow, very benign stalls. We did departure stalls, approach stalls, and accelerated stalls in both directions. An accelerated stall is a stall while in a bank, typically a 30-degree bank. That's what I used. and in none of those conditions did the nose fall through with any kind of drama. So I think that's a pretty good review of the airplane, but I was impressed, first of all, that it took off and landed much like a STOL airplane lands, and yet it cruised along pretty well. So I think they've done a nice job of optimizing the range of an existing airplane that was originally designed to be a short takeoff and landing airplane. As we came in for landing, I found that despite this, to a lot of people, this might look kind of a draggy airplane. Indeed, it had a pretty good glide angle, and getting it down was the typical problem it is on many light aircraft. You've got to plan a little bit ahead on your speeds, but it was easily handled. A lot to recommend about the Zenith 750 Cruzer as supplied by M2 under a professional builder assist program. You can get this airplane at a pretty good price point, but you can contact the company at m2aircraft.com, and you can find more about these kinds of airplanes and many other aircraft in the affordable aviation range at buydanjohnson.com. Thanks for coming along with us in the Zen Air CH750 Cruzer.